Tofu? Are you kidding? If you had asked me about 7 years ago whether I would ever eat tofu, ever, let alone on a regular basis, I would have said, you're out of your mind. But I have figured out how to make it in a way that is so delicious, and I'm going to share it with you right now. Let's dig in. I used to get the kind of tofu that was in a container and sitting in water. Sometimes I will still do that, but for the most part, I'm getting the high protein tofu that has far less water in it, like this one. You can see it's a Trader Joe's version, but I have seen it in many different markets. It says high protein organic tofu super firm. And it has some water in it, but very, very little. So let's open it up and see what it looks like. I have found the easiest way to do this is to cut it down the middle. You see a little bit of water spills out, but not as much as those containers of tofu. I'm going to pat them dry with a cotton towel. I don't need to press them because, again, there's not that much water in them. For this recipe, I'm going to cut the tofu into slices so that I can use it on sandwiches. You don't want to make it too thin because then it will fall apart, but I also don't want to make it too thick either. If I had more time, I would have actually marinated this overnight, but I really want to get it done, so sometimes I just do it this way without marinating it. I'm going to take Bragg's Coconut Aminos. It's kind of like a soy sauce alternative with a little bit of a sweet taste to it. And I'm also going to use the Costco Kirkland brand of their organic no salt seasoning. I got this recipe from a friend of mine, Lavonda Hawkins. She is a brilliant influencer when it comes to whole food, plant-based, oil-free. First things first, I'm going to spread the slices out on my parchment paper. Next, I'm going to take some of this coconut aminos and pour it into this little bowl. You can see that it's a little bit thicker than soy sauce. Now I'm going to take a brush and brush each of the pieces, both sides. Normally, I would have preheated the oven to 400, but I'm going to use my smaller countertop oven because it's so hot today. I don't want to fire up the big oven. And that one takes a minute to preheat. I'm going to actually sprinkle some of this on before I turn it. Now, you can change up the flavor profile to whatever your desire is. You might want curry. You might want more of a Mexican flavor. You can use oregano and chili powder. The flavor is where it's at. So now I'm going to turn them. Now let's do a little bit more of the no salt seasoning, which, by the way, you can use other no salt seasoning. There's a whole world out there of no salt seasonings. Mrs. Dash has an entire beautiful selection of no salt seasonings. Here we go. How easy was that? Let me go turn on the oven and get it preheating. I set the oven for 400 degrees for 15 minutes, and it might take less, it might take more. It depends on how you like your tofu. I tend to like it a little bit drier, so I might bake it for a little bit longer. There it is. The oven is telling me it's preheated. I'll be right back. I set the timer on my big oven for 7 minutes, at which point I will go and check the tofu and see how it's doing and turn it over as well. Another option is for you to air fry this for the entire cooking time, or you can combine and cook it like I did, start it in the oven and then finish it with air frying, which I'm going to do right now. Let's talk a little bit about application. How can we eat this sliced tofu? Growing up, we had deli meats. That's what my mother would bring home from the supermarket. This sliced marinated baked tofu is a wonderful alternative to deli meats. And for somebody like me who's 100% vegan, I love having these alternatives that I can use to make sandwiches. Oh, as a matter of fact, I wish I had made this yesterday because I would have had it on my sandwich today. Today's sandwich was toasted gluten-free bread. I had sprouts and sliced cucumber. Ooh, it gave such a nice crunch. And some shredded carrot and some hummus. But if I had had this tofu, oh, you can be sure that the tofu would have been part of that sandwich. I would also serve it as part of a bowl. For example, my bowl would, first of all, definitely have a huge honking amount of vegetables that I either microwaved or sauteed with water on the stove, or maybe grilled outside on our new barbecue grill, or maybe even roasted in the oven. That would have been a huge part of my plate. But then I also would have had some rice or some kind of potatoes, or sometimes both the rice and the potatoes and the tofu. So here's what my plate would have looked like. If you drew a line right down the center of my plate, half of that plate, I would have had vegetables for sure. And it could have been one vegetable. It could have been all broccoli or all cauliflower or all kale. Doesn't really matter. I just try to get my vegetables in whatever and whenever I can. Every single meal I eat has vegetables. So again, half of the plate would have been vegetables. And then I would have taken the other half of the plate, divide it in half. So a quarter and a quarter would be these tofu pieces. And a quarter would have been some kind of starch, like either rice or potatoes, or I might have even mixed rice and potatoes. Oh, go wild. And then I would also add condiments to it. For example, I might add some sriracha. I might add some of my tofu mayonnaise or some of my creamy cashew dressing. I might add my Italian dressing. There's a whole slew of different ways that I could have dressed up this meal. But just talking to you about it makes me so excited. I love eating this way. It has opened up such a vast culinary encyclopedia, really huge encyclopedia of options. It already smells so delicious. I might have taken those slabs and cut them into cubes and then maybe air fry them so they get really crispy. And then I can use them as sort of tofu croutons, or I might use them as part of a stir fry. If you've watched my other YouTube videos, you know that I am all about prep. Having already cooked tofu in the refrigerator is a surefire way for me to make sure that if I want to have a sandwich or a stir fry, I have it because I made it and it's already done and I don't have to sit and wait for it to cook. I have a new playlist called KISS, Keep It Simply Scrumptious. My intention is to make food that I know you will love. Food that is simple, food that you can have week after week after week. I would even call these foods anchor foods. Foods that can be part of your weekly rotation, foods that you can rely on, foods that are going to help you stick to a whole food, plant-based, oil-free lifestyle. Okay, it's done perfectly. Let me show you what it looks like. It's nice and dry and perfectly seasoned with the coconut aminos and the no salt seasoning. Let's give it a try, shall we? See how it cuts so nicely? Let's try it. Absolutely perfect. So there you have it. Let me know if you try it. I'd love to hear your report. Enjoy. Make sure that you smash that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my delicious plant-based content. My name is Ellen of Ellen's Healthy Kitchen, and I help you plant your plate one healthy meal at a time.